We, the undersigned members of the Global Atlantic community, consisting of social change leaders, lawyers, academics, doctors, artists, and activists, working to challenge persistent inequities around the world through collective action and leadership, express our solidarity with the Palestinian people, and call for an immediate ceasefire and humanitarian aid for the besieged population of Gaza.
Like many around the world, we watch in horror as unprecedented violence and destruction unfolded in front of us. Since October 7th, in just the first 4 weeks, more than 10,000 Palestinian civilians were killed and over 1.4 million internally displaced in Gaza, while the bombing of homes, hospitals, universities, refugee camps, and schools continues.
Nearly 70% of those reported killed in Gaza are children and women. These numbers do not include the thousands still buried under the rubble in Gaza, nor those who were killed in the West Bank. In addition to this, more than 1,400 Israelis have been killed, many of whom were civilians.
UNICEF has called Gaza a graveyard for children and a living hell for everyone else. The United Nations Special Rapporteur on the situation of human rights in Palestinian territory has warned of the risk of mass ethnic cleansing. At the same time, the Centre for Constitutional Rights has described the situation in Gaza as an unfolding crime of genocide.
Similar warnings, calls for a ceasefire, and pleas for help by global aid organizations have had little effect on those leaders of Western countries who, in the face of evidence of indiscriminate attacks against the civilian population, continue to support Israel's military offensive. In doing so, they become complicit in the ongoing genocide against the Palestinian population, including the killing of medical professionals, journalists, and aid workers on the ground.
Israel's complete siege of Gaza, an act of collective punishment, withholding food, water, electricity, fuel, internet, along with evacuation orders and forcible population transfers, has left more than 2 million Palestinians in inhumane condition.
This is not only a violation of international humanitarian law, which requires civilians access to humanitarian aid, but also unspeakably cruel.
We recognize the events of October 2023 have roots in Israeli government's illegal occupation and dispossession of Palestinian lands, its settler colonial project, and the decades-long oppression of the Palestinian people, and that true peace requires the dismantling of Israel's system of apartheid.
We also recognize and stand against the misleading, Islamophobic, and racist media narratives that have perpetuated the dehumanization of the Palestinian people. We call for the following: an immediate ceasefire in Gaza,
unobstructed, sustained, and immediate aid to enter Gaza, including food, water, medical supplies, and fuel.
Compliance with international humanitarian law from all parties, including the release of Israeli civilians held as hostages by Hamas. Intentionally directing attack against the civilian population by any party must be condemned.
Investigation by the International Criminal Court of genocide, war crimes, and breaches of international humanitarian law by Israel.
For lasting peace and justice, we call for an end to Israel's occupation of Palestine and the release of Palestinian prisoners, many of whom are children.
We are fortified by the solidarity expressed around the world, including by those in countries that have suffered apartheid and colonial oppression, by anti-Zionist and pro-peace Jewish activists, and by trade unions.
We stand against Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, and the rise in threats and hate crimes against Arab, Jewish, and Muslim communities.
We speak alongside the millions of people around the world who are united in humanity to demand an end to the occupation, oppression, and the dehumanization of the Palestinian people. Free, free Palestine.
Free Palestine.
Free Palestine.
Free Palestine.
Från imperialismen. Och vi ska bygga upp vårt land. Till socialismen. Palestina.